welcome to another episode of IndianaMat Gorilla Radio with Mike Reiser and myself.
What's going on?
And hopefully, we were just talking before we got on here. Hopefully the legions of our fans are still here, even though there's other activities going on to watch. But it's Team State wrap up and everything, so hopefully everyone's here to listen in and hear us blab about Team State and all the other fun events that were going on this past weekend. Mike, you were at the Lake County tournament. How was that?
I didn't actually make it out there, so
Okay.
definitely help. I didn't even get there. I had some stuff going on, so I missed out. They had someone fill in for me on the broadcast. Bobby Joe filled in for me, so probably better than probably analytical breakdown, I'm sure.
That's
but
so now
Lake
we
County tournament. What's up?
So now you got someone that will fill in for you, so you can take some breaks every so often.
Yeah, I guess Morgan was in Florida, so he couldn't do it, and I was supposed to find out what time the final started, but I ended up what I had going on ran until 6, and they had someone fill in, and if you're gonna have someone fill in the region, why not Bobby Joe Maldonado?
Yeah, that's a good one. Any big happenings? We'll start a little bit slow today at the Lake County.
Yeah, definitely a good one. The final with Giovanni Diaz and Malik Hall of Maryville. I was actually telling, and Giovanni took that one. I was saying Malik Hall wrestled like 3 top 10 guys this week. Where he wrestled Cotty in the finals of the Al Smith, wrestled Roberson Wednesday, and wrestled Giovanni on Saturday. So in all those matches, I don't think any of those were really blowouts. So kind of a good week for him, getting those tough matches. Atria was upset in the semis over there. He was pinned by a East Chicago kid. So
Yeah.
some kids were out. I seen Fowler didn't wrestle. I seen Tyler Turley lost to Mohamed. One of our fans. I don't know if he's even watching tonight.
He better be. He just mentioned
Yeah.
his kid.
Yeah, that was a good one for him. And then ended up losing Cervantes. So definitely a pretty good weekend. I mean, that's a good tournament. I seen Moreno didn't compete also, but a lot of teams in Lake County. So I know Jim Watkins started that in 2002 was the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
it's kind of weird, though. They've added some teams that aren't necessarily Lake County teams, like Wheeler's a Porter County team, and I think Boone Grove's invited. I know Hebron's competed there in the past. So, but not all Lake County. Go ahead.
It's just like the when you call it the region, it already, if Mishawaka and Penn are good, all of a sudden they're in the region, just
Yeah. I think there's only 2 teams that Arsenal, Tech, and Indianapolis. There's only 2 teams I think that don't come. Crown Point doesn't come. They sent a couple wrestlers this year, but they didn't send their varsity, and I don't think Morton sends their team. So other than that, that's what was going on in the region. I mean, the region outside of Portage wasn't really represented at the Team State event. Only Portage from our area was there.
Yeah, no, that's I think Crown Point will probably be in the mix next year, and it sounds like the hard date might help Maryville be able to get in if they want to. It's just one of those things that now that it's a hard date, it's not going to be flip-flopping between certain random days. I think they might be able to get Maryville a little bit better acquainted to get in there. I know I've talked to Maldonado about it a little bit, and he wants to, but at the same time there's some logistics that need to be worked out with that. So hopefully, I'd like to see, those teams need to be there, I think. We want to get as close to the top 12 teams there and, let them battle it out. And it's always best to, if a team declines, whether they, whatever, for whatever reason, it's always good we want to see the best teams there. So,
yeah. And I think the region will be represented pretty well next year. If Maryville's able to get in, I always think they have a strong dual team, top to bottom. And then obviously Crown Point's pretty strong. And in the Chewy, I know Hammond Gavitt was right on the outside. They were in the vote-in. I know that they added some tough freshmen, and they'll have some guys returning. So 1A, the region doesn't have a ton of 1A area schools. So, I mean, Whiting, Lake Station, but I don't even know if they're fielding full teams now. So, hopefully in that 2A and that 3 area, the region gets a little something to cheer about. I mean, but you always have Porters. They're always tough. They were there. So, always that's an awesome day. I mean, you see a lot of the results, and that's just an amazing day of duels.
Yeah, it is. I went through and I cheated when I added a bunch of results. I put them into the database a different way than doing it one at a time, and I added 225-ish results, and that's over all the classes. So that's always cool. And I mean, there's over 200 results just from the weekend of Al Smith and Mooresville and that added in. So it's always, I think we almost have more individual results than we do. We have 1,200 results, 1,201 already for individual results. And I know someone asked, I won't mention his name, asked about, who's had the most ranked matches, and just looking through there, I feel bad for the guys with the 2 or 3 of them. I'm like, like the first one you look at is Cotty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He has like 11 matches against significant opponents, so that's pretty impressive. And you have a few more. Obviously, Carl from Perry has a bunch. That's just like on 106, but yeah, you can see a lot of guys with a lot of very good results, significant results in there.
Yeah, and I think, and we were just trying to talk about it off air, 138, Caden Rooks has wrestled whoever we put at number 2 a couple times this year. He wrestled Freegee this weekend and Gimson before that, and you just look up and down the line. It's difficult to find that too because he's doing so well. But we'll probably have a new number 2, and they'll meet up I think next week, and and we'll see how that goes. He'll have all those. I mean, I would say the same thing about Ace. I think Ace has wrestled a bunch of the top ranked guys, but that says a lot for that scheduling. Perry Meridian, Avon, Ron Colley, Columbus East. Those guys are all wrestling, some of the top schedules.
Yeah, they are. It's amazing. You look at it's a lot of the same guys. Those Perry guys, there's Warren guys, Columbus East. Those types of guys are all wrestling the same guy. They're wrestling that schedule. They're wrestling the Al Smith. They're wrestling Team State. They're wrestling, all these teams here. So that's always good to see. And it makes rankings.
Just hi guys.
Makes rankings a little easier sometimes, but usually it's the A beat B, B beat C, and then C beats A. So then you're just back to step 1 of ranking.
Yeah. Yeah, heavyweight's like that this year, and we were a little bit talking about that. Heavyweight's one of those ones where everyone's kind of trading losses, and I know we've talked about it a lot. That'll be one where, anyone can win on that day, and I think that's like one of those things. You have a ton of guys that are going to be able to win whoever shows up that weekend, which makes the state finals really exciting, and should make it exciting for those guys that are competing that way, because there's not Jason Surtis in that weight, or Andrew Howe, or
Mason Paris.
Any of those guys, Brayton Lee, Mason Paris, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know that you have a shot to win it. Not every time you walk on the mat you have a chance to win, but those guys are on that next level. Obviously Mason doing great.
Yeah, that's
doing great things.
Yeah, woke up Thursday morning, or was it Friday morning? I saw that Arizona State and Michigan were wrestling, and I retweeted something that Micic won, and went to bed because it was like 11:30, and then I start looking at my phone when I woke up, and I'm like, whoa, what's this? Mason Paris was wrestling.
Wrestling number 1 ranked guy.
Yeah. Not a bad way to go out. Or actually, it was Oregon State, not Arizona State. They wrestled Arizona State yesterday or Saturday, but Thursday. Wake up, I'm like, oh, Paris just pulled his red shirt and he beat the number 1 guy. So that's.
And he pinned the Arizona State kid too, and I that. Man, probably not a kid, but I thought it was because they have a guy that was ranked in Hall, right? And I was like, man, he beat number 1, and then he went out there and pinned Hall, but it wasn't Hall that he had wrestled. Yeah,
Hall's redshirting, but yeah, that was glad to see. It's one of those things that I thought maybe Mason needed a year to get a little bit bigger, get a little bit fine tune some things, and obviously I'm gonna trust Sean Bormet that he knows a lot more than I do about wrestling.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, so and that's gonna be one of those. I'm definitely gonna keep your eye on him. And the good thing about him is he keeps getting better. He's been wrestling top guys pretty good. He's beat like number 1, 8, and 9, but he has a couple losses, like a 15, 16, and an unranked. So that's interesting that he, his wins are against the better guys, so which is good. And I know most of the top guys aren't like crazy huge. Gable Stevenson, I know I think he's probably about 250, 260. He's not overly big.
The top guy's huge, though.
Who is?
One of the top guys is huge. Like Stahl is.
Stoll, yeah.
He's hurt.
Yeah.
That's a giant man.
Yeah, he's a big human. But you got Kassar and then Derek White from Oklahoma State. Both those guys weigh about 235-ish, so they're just the same size as Mason. So it's going to be a glorified 220, matches hopefully coming up, and definitely going to look forward to seeing him at the Big Tens and stuff. I thought I looked it up. No one will. Let's see. I was just looking up their roster, and I seen if he wrestled any of the like Penn State or anybody, and I'm fairly certain they do not. Oh, they do wrestle Penn State February 1st.
So he'll get to wrestle Cesar.
Yeah, he'll wrestle Kassar there. Illinois, Michigan State, Purdue, at home at Michigan. Ohio State, he'll get a revenge on the Singletary he wrestled, and then Maryland has a pretty good heavyweight too. Hermida, I probably pronounced his name wrong, and then Rutgers, so he'll have a Northwestern guy that he beat that beat him.
That beat him, right?
Yeah, so he'll have a couple revenge matches. He's going to be tested before the Big Tens, and if anyone wants to go up to Minnesota to watch the Big Tens, have fun. That's a long drive.
Yeah.
I made that about 11, 12 years ago, and that was a long drive. You go to the Mall of America between sessions. So
good to see a couple Indiana guys up there, though.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of Indiana guys. I'm kind of excited to watch Big Tens, and not only this year and the coming years. Maybe might have to make a trip if it's a little bit closer.
Yeah, Jorge Martinez said the Lake County tournament was last Saturday. Yeah, that was who got that good win also over Atria. So we appreciate you tuning in. A little bit late on that, but
just rewind it and you'll be able to listen to us.
Yeah, on the replay, we talked about that early on. Probably one of the bigger upsets of the weekend. Atria was ranked top 5.
Yeah.
And Jorge Martinez went out there, got the fall. So
moving on to Team State, the discussion that'll take most of tonight.
Right.
1A, I'm trying to bring up brackets. Adams Central and Perry Heights was down to the wire again, but kind of as I kind of alluded to, talking to a couple of both the coaches, they knew there's going to be a close one again, and Prairie Heights or Adams Central upended Prairie Heights, changed up their lineup just a little bit, and won by 3. Real good duel, lots of good matches. I mean, for 1A schools, that's I think at Adams Central has a couple movable parts, guys that they have a couple JV guys they can throw in and bump a couple guys up, and that's huge at that level. And I know Prairie Heights they couldn't do anything. They said to take it, and they had to wrestle through it, and just came down to last couple matches, and they'd end on a great match, even though it ended up being an injury default, I believe. Rassler and Logan Macklin, but you had some really good matches to end the match, and two of the best teams in the 1A. Obviously, they've been there every year, pretty much, and they always battle it out there.
Yeah, 1A, and we kind of said it before. The 1A always brings it, man. Like I didn't make it out there this year, but I heard the crowds were good for the 1A again. Always exciting, those guys. Prairie Heights has always done a great job, and Adams Central's always been right there. So congratulations to those guys. They're the Jets, right?
Yep,
The Jets.
Flying Jets.
The
Yes.
Flying Jets.
Well,
Not just
there'd
the
be
Jets,
no
but the Flying
fans
Jets.
from Adams Central or Prairie Heights if it was like opening day of hunting season.
A lot of camo in the stands. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't really see a lot of their fans. There's both their school color. The school colors at Prairie Heights is camo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's what it's about, and that's a huge thing. I think that's part of why this is so successful is because you have those programs that buy in like that, and we kind of talk about it all the time. But Prairie Heights does an amazing job, and Adams Central obviously does an amazing job. You see those guys at the state finals every year. They always have wrestlers competing, and those are tiny schools, you know.
Yeah, Adams Central has a crazy, like they've had a state qualifier all but 1 year, like the last 25 or 30 years. It's kind of crazy that they've only had 1 year where they've not had a kid at state, which for any school, I don't care whether you're 1A or 3A school, that's a pretty impressive streak. And I can guarantee there's probably not many schools that are that have had that many state qualifiers, over that same span. I'm sure if any of those guys are tuning in, they'll correct me and give me the exact number of state qualifiers. But yeah, that's pretty impressive by them. And Prairie Heights, obviously, like you said, they always have a good program. One of the things that amazes me about Prairie Heights, obviously they're in my area, so I've known what they are. That's like the only sport they're good at. Like I think they had a decent golf team about 5 years ago or something, but they're not good at basketball. They're not good at football. They're not good at track. They're really good at wrestling, and then they're not good at very many other sports, which is crazy to think that. I'd love to see some of those guys on, and I know a few more. I think the other kids were playing football this year, but I'd love to see some of those like Levitt's kids on the football field as linebackers because they're crazy and reckless. I can imagine that. So, 2A, that was a good one. I don't know how much you caught of that. Real good, real good tournament there. The only number 1 seed to win. Dane's kind of in hiding right now. He's in his bunker. No,
I'm sure, and like we kind of said before with the rankings, I'm sure Dane loves the drama of the sport, and that's part of it. And that duel was amazing. I think we were texting in between. I know I was tweeting it out some. That comes down to the wire. That one's stealing the show, and there was like so many good matches. But you're literally coming down to the last match, and Western's bumping a kid to get there.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was watching. I was like, I was following all the I went for the semis after we were done, and then I was like, well, my phone died, so I can't do any tweeting or anything, and I can go home and donate to the Coaches Association and sit on my couch and get harassed by Rocco and everything, and sit on my couch and watch wrestling. And I can keep my eyes on it, and so I was keeping my eyes on all 3 duels, and started looking at watching the Wallace C and Western match. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting, and it came down to the last match. Western, that's not an easy person. He bumped up. They obviously bumped Gowdy away from Alexander, who's pretty darn tough. But then Stockman's no slouch by any means.
No.
He placed 8th at the Al Smith, so he's pretty darn good, to say the least.
Those scrambles were awesome too.
Yeah, and Gowdy, he's had a really good season after qualifying for state, so they're bumping him up. And you look at it. Obviously, they did their homework, and they're like, well, our best, if it comes down to this, our best chance to win is probably bumping Gowdy up to, get a win. That's the lesser of 2 evils. Even though that's not an easy, you're not guaranteeing anything, but you're gonna go with probably Alexander's probably a little bit of more of a favorite there. Let's see what they were down. They were up. It was tied, so they would have been, it would have been a 3-point match, and they're looking for a guy to, not get pinned by Stuckman. So obviously it worked out for him, but went to overtime. Crazy scramble at the end of the match, and the ref gave 2 to Stuckman at the end, but the other the towel boy, the ref was moving, and you can see the towel guy trying to hit him, and then the other ref was like, no, time was up, and luckily they had 2 refs on the mat there. So they called that off, that takedown for Stuckman, and then just got into just a scramble, and it was about a 30-second scramble, it seemed like, and I'm sure it felt like eternity for both those teams. And then Gowdy just kept his head up and finished. That's pretty cool. I'd check it out on the stream. Maybe they'll be free sometime, but real good match, real good ending. And I think they might be on the Western's Twitter feed.
Yeah.
So if
yeah,
you
on the
watch
Twitter
that.
feed for Western, they put like the final scramble, which was really good.
Yeah.
A good one at 32 there also. I mean, you had Jeremiah Brooks and Hunter Cottingham, 2-time state qualifier, 13-8, which was just, I mean, those guys are going to score points, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. There's some good matches there. Jace Alexander versus Chandler Sissel. I probably pronounced that wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of matches in there that, you're looking at, could they have gotten a few more points? And obviously that was an awesome duel. Jimtown Kenny came out as a 5 seed, which 4-5 isn't a big upset over West Vigo. And they gave Western a good match. They just didn't have enough firepower. And then you had Gimson versus Cottingham. That was a good match. And that was kind of another one, some good matches there. North Montgomery continued being pretty tough. They finished 4th. Jimtown finished 3rd there. A lot of good teams, a lot of good matches there. 3A, which has been very much the talk. The seeds didn't matter, and I'm sure Dane was pulling his hair out. So the top seeds won all their pools: Cathedral, Mater Dei, Warren, and Brownsburg, and then everything went to crap.
Well, that Avon and I know we kind of talked about it last week, and anybody could wrestle with anybody just because they have so many hammers in their lineup. But that Avon Cathedral goes down to the wire in that pool, and you're thinking like, man, like Avon can pull this out,
Yeah, it came down to Walenzek and Rio.
Yeah,
Rio probably would have needed. No, he would have he didn't need a major, but Rio was pretty darn good.
Right. You have 2 state semifinalists there, and you're thinking like, man, like this is what this thing's coming down to. And then Cathedral ends up pulling it out and then make it to that Final 4. And then I think after that, which is super exciting, is some of those guys threw the like dual thing out the window and started, hey, let's get some matchups. We got to see Washington and Nick South in that that day. They're like,
yeah, the biggest thing with there is Lenzek's kind of had a rough season. He's lost to Logan Wagner, lost to Clark. Can't think of his first name. Jeremy Clark from
Columbus East.
Yeah, Columbus East. Lost to Peel. He also lost to Rio earlier in the season too. So that was he's obviously those are, I don't want to say good losses, but they're good losses. They're not like they're horrible.
Right.
So yeah, coming down to him and him, maybe it was a little bit having that 2 pounds, but yeah, coming down to that match was big. Helped. Avon had Blaze Garcia down to 6. I'm not sure if that's going to be a permanent thing or what, but
I think that's a great cut for him, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be good for him. But yeah, that was a pretty tough duel. Garcia beat majored Logan Bailey, which was obviously big for them. And I think because Bailey wrestled 38 most of the day, didn't he?
I think he went back and forth. I think Andrew Wilson making 32 really helped those guys. But that was like a 1-point match early on. And Garcia, turned it up.
Yeah, Bailey and Wilson both kind of flip-flop throughout the day. That's a big that's 30-pound jump for Bailey. Obviously, he's pretty tough, and he can kind of neutralize things on top, so that's not too bad for him. But he also he lost to Kreitzer and Garcia both up at 38, which aren't bad losses by any means. But
no.
They definitely...
2-time state champ and a state semifinalist, not bad at all.
So yeah, that was a good pool ending. Mater Dei ran through their pool pretty easily. Warren Central, Roncalli didn't quite have the firepower to hang with Warren Central. Thought that might be a little bit closer. And Brownsburg kind of got on a roll against Perry Meridian. Went through them in that last pot. I think they won a few close matches and then just started getting out of hand late as they started going into the hammers for Brownsburg. I watched a little bit of that the Washington and Nick South match. I'm glad those guys are, the coaches, Vega's like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Let's get you good matches, and I know there's some really good matches there. Also, kind of note, I know I was talking to some guys. Trey Reynolds dislocated his elbow, I think, from what it sounds like, and hopefully for a speedy recovery. He's had a really good season. When I heard about that, I was kind of bummed because I know he'd been finally kind of had a breakout season, senior year, wrestling really well. So hopefully, maybe he can get back for sectional. That's a short turnaround, but if you can, that's awesome. And if not, he had a great season and nothing to be ashamed of there.
No. Yeah, that's disappointing. You don't want to see anyone, if that's the end of a season, you hope that you never want to see anyone ended on an injury,
Yeah. Any other matches in the fifth place or eighth place matches that you saw that stuck out to you?
Trying to see. I mean, there's always so many good matches, and as we're here and you're on it, it's difficult, but those are great. Like all those are great matches. Like you're not gonna have a bunch of bad matches. Like this is some of the best of the best. It was good for Northridge to go there. I know that getting into Al Smith and then turn around and get into this. I know they got a ton of experience, which is gonna probably help them down the road. You said through the 8th through 12th matches.
Yeah, or the fifth place or the 5th through 12th place matches.
Avon Carmel, Perry Meridian, Carmel, 33-31. Ton of good matches in there in that 7th and 8th place match.
Yeah, and then Roncalli Carmel was a good one. That's the second time they've wrestled, and second time there's a lot of different results there. So that kind of throw whatever. Both those teams are going to scrap. Obviously, Avon put on Roncalli, which Avon might a little bit better. They wrestled above their seed. Obviously, the biggest move is they had a heavyweight and they had a 106 pounder, so that's huge. Not giving up 12 every match.
And I think and it's always gonna be difficult when you're giving up 12, but you're moving Blaze down, and that helps out a ton because he's good. And he'll be in the next set of rankings at that weight. And then you have hammers up and down that lineup. You have both Conleys, you have both Garcias, you have Brewer. You have the Reynolds brothers. You have Rio. You just have all these guys, and it's just kind of filling in around them. And that's not to say that the other guys are not good. It's just those guys are your stars. It's kind of like Cathedral. You have a lot of stars. Yeah.
Moving on, the semifinals. Those two barn burner matches. Brownsburg Cathedral came down to the last match. It was, I believe, it was Bailey versus Kreitzer. They bumped Kreitzer up, and Bailey needed just looking through as I was getting closer, I was like, okay, so who has the criteria? Bailey needed bonus points because of Brownsburg had the only pin in the duel. So he was, I don't know if they knew that, but they needed something more than just a decision, which that's not going to happen. We get someone, at that level, that's going to be, you're going to need to catch him in something and pin him. But
you have two state semifinalists going at it.
Yeah.
And saving points in that is huge, and we always talk about that when we're looking at the stuff. Like, even to give him a shot, Andrew Wilson, Drake Campbell is 1 point off of being a major. Seltzer, Tech falling, Brandon Haynes, instead of getting a fall there. Those are what win duels, and there's a ton of bad blood there. From the state finals last year, some message board fodder, I guess, that was pulled down.
Yes. Yes.
Those, everyone's gonna see that stuff. We're only like so fast to pull that stuff down, and obviously, any way you can get motivated. But those are two of the top programs in the state, across all the divisions. And when it comes down to two state semifinalists, it's the same thing. Like you're excited to see that. And
yeah, there's 5 matches that were 3 points or less, which means that's a takedown. A lot of times difference. The one thing we were talking about a little bit before, obviously we weren't expecting Brownsburg to win, but at the same time, looking a little bit more, I mean, they have 7 or 8 guys that are ranked 4 to 12. They don't have guys that are, expected to win state titles, but they have just solid guys up and down the lineup. They also didn't have KT Nelson, who's ranked at 13, at least was. I can't remember if he still is. They didn't have him in the lineup. And, they just had solid kids. And, when you're looking at a dual team, obviously you have all those teams, especially in the top 4, all have 7, 8 guys that are state ranked or right on that bubble that are, top 12, in the state that could be state placers with the right draw, with the right matchups. But it's those other bottom kids, those semi-state level kids, those ticket rounders, those guys that can't, are your role players. That's what they say in the other sports. They're your role players. And you look at guys that, Jacob Cookerly, he's maybe semi-state ranked, but he, wrestles Elliot Rogers to a major decision. Peyton Asbury's state ranked, but he doesn't, against Jordan Slivka, that could easily be a major. Slivka wins 1-0.
Right.
You see Greg Glover win the 3-0 match. That's huge. Cody Edmonds, I don't know who that is from Brownsburg, but he's their 95-pounder. Luke Adams is chiseled and big, and he lifts weights, and that's a 7-3 match. And then, obviously, the heavyweight Dorian Keys, who's been in the rankings now, gets a big fall. And then, just looking through some of these, the results here,
For all the talent in that duel, Dorian Keys is the only one that got a fall.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, and that's where, and we've kind of alluded to it, and people have on the board, Cathedral has those super studs, but it's winning a dual meet's going to come down to those second tier kids, and them not giving up pins. Those not, maybe even pulling out a win. That 182 pound match. That's the match right there. That's two guys that aren't probably even, they're maybe semi-state ranked. If they are, they're low, but they're solid kids. That and 195. Those are 2 big matches of kind of no-name kids. That's going to come down to, and that was. 2 big matches. Brownsburg doesn't gets the win, and then they obviously keep the one to a decision.
Yeah.
The one
second semifinal.
Yeah, the second semifinal.
Central on Saturday.
That was very interesting. I missed the drama. Second match, Bryce Coleman and Scott Fitz. I was tired of sitting down, so I went and walked around. I saw Lee versus Graves. That was a good one. Graves got the first takedown. I'm like, ooh. And end up, Lee had 3 takedowns to 1, gave up 3 escapes, and looked really good. And that, Lee wrestled just everybody this weekend. He had a heck of a day.
He wrestled everyone on the season.
Yeah.
45 would be a fun weight. Those top 5 guys, top 6 guys. He wrestled Moscone. Those top guys, they're all right there.
Yeah, he wrestled Moscone, beat him 10-6. Then wrestled Graves, beat him. He's beat Warren. Yeah, he had a pretty good day there. And then and I had to go watch the video. Bryce Coleman, Scott Fitz. I was I was like, what happened there? And I come back and I see, or actually I was walking around and I ran into Coach Krulik from Warren Central. I go, how you guys doing? He's like, oh, the score's 5-0. I'm like, you guys are winning? You guys are losing? They're like, no, we're winning. I'm like, how? I just saw Lee won. How do they have 0 points all of a sudden? So I end up pulling up the track and seeing that Fitz got DQ'd. Kind of a crazy situation. There's a potentially dangerous call. And and the ref stopped this stop for potentially dangerous, and Fitz kept going, kind of torqued on the knee a little bit, and immediately flagrant misconduct, which is a DQ and then 3 team points. And then I believe Warren Central afterward, I just watching on the video that you could tell that there's some words said, so I assume that's where that other point for Warren Central got taken away. Another good one, obviously, Brody Bauman. Just mentioned, Bauman was not. He was winning the match. Yeah, he was winning against Pearson. Gave up a escape, or was tied up, and got lat dropped, and lost to Ross, or no, to Pearson.
Pearson, but that's what Pearson does, man.
Yeah.
Don't you remember Friday night last year at State?
Yeah, he did that against Cole Ross.
Yeah, and they did it without Cole Ross too, who has been there, ranked 113. But those guys are big move wrestlers, and Mecca Sluches tells me that all the time.
Yeah. Oh, watching Warren, those kids aren't afraid to go upper body. I mean, they train Greco. Might be New Greco City. Those guys are all going. They're trying to tie up your arms and try to throw you. And it looked like Mater Dei was a little. They didn't know how to react to that. Because those guys were they're staying straight up, Greco style, and they're going to look for your head or your arms, or they're going to try to throw you. And I think that kind of threw those guys off a little bit, especially some of the younger guys who aren't, used to that kind of wrestling. And, a lot of good matches there. Alec Freeman over Carlton Perry 1-0. There's a lot of good swing, a lot of swing matches there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 matches that were 2 points or less.
You close out, so in a 30-22 duel, you close out with a 1-0 in Freeman and Perry, and then Bowerman Pearson is close before the fall.
Yeah.
Then Chris Stewart holds Borman to a major or decision. Then you got Ross over Egley over Betty, and then Roulette over Mayer. So
yeah, that's that's some good matches right towards the end. I was there. I know there was a parent that came over. I was sitting right beside the Mater Dei section, and the Mater Dei parents were getting kind of crazy, and one just came over, sat beside me. I'm like, oh, hey, I got a new best friend. So
did you get your Mater Dei book?
Yes, I did. It's
nice.
It's somewhere around here. I did get my Mater Dei book. I'm gonna have to get updates to it, but yeah, that was a great duel. Mater Dei, I think after that DQ was a little flat, and I think just the rest of the day they kind of were flat. They kind of, that's a tough way to lose a match, and they kind of knew, especially early on, that you can't lose 3 team points or even give up a pin, which is basically what they did, and expect to come back. And I mean, they battled, and they were in position to win. I mean, they had enough. I mean, they were going to need a major in that last one if it was going to be tied, because obviously team points was the.
And I don't think Mater Dei is going anywhere.
Yeah, they're just crazy young, and they have a lot of guys. They have, Bauman's on the bench. So is Fitz. He wrestled a little bit. Well, obviously he didn't wrestle the last match, but I know he's been behind a pretty good Kai most of the year, so I don't know what's going on there. But
Gabe Sollers, I said, beat him in a wrestle off, and Scott Fitz was in the lineup last year. I think he was in the ticket round.
He went to state, I'm fairly certain. Yeah, he did.
Was he at state?
Yeah, he lost to McIntosh 5-1. Yeah.
So, not a bad backup to have, right?
Yeah, you have 2 guys that probably would be at state as backups. And then as I was getting ready to leave, I ran into some people, and they're like, so what do you think of the Brownsburg-Warren match? I go, no one ran the scores because no one expected both those guys to be in the finals, let alone one of them. I mean, everyone's like, oh yeah, maybe Warren could make it. Brownsburg could make it, but not both of them at the same time. So,
Coach Tante had been telling us the whole year how good they were top to bottom, and they're a solid team, and that's like one of the hardest working guys in the sport. Like when people ask like how you get good, like Coach Tante is like out there going all the time. Those guys are always wrestling, always competing, and it's just time, man. If you have the coaches that put in the time, and that's why you see those guys getting better, because they're putting in so much time.
Yeah, you go to Folk South State, you go to Free South State. Central regionals, anything that's going on, freshman, sophomore state, you see you see the who's who of those top 12 teams there. You see Vega, you see I'll just go. I mean, you see
Shutley,
you see
Conte.
You see Snyder, you see McClure, you see Pendowski, you see, I mean, you see all those guys there, and they're putting in the time. You go to Disney, who do you see? I mean, how many of those teams went to Disney last year? I can tell you pretty quickly. Warren does, Brownsburg does, Perry does, Avon does, Columbus East does, Penn does. There's half those teams go to Disney. Yeah, that's spending a week.
That's how you get better.
Go ahead.
That's just how you get better. Like, those guys are out there competing, as a team all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's a week plus you're putting in with those kids at Disney, and that doesn't include the 2 months of training beforehand, every night or every couple nights, whatever it is. That's the formula is not secret. It's not a secret formula. It's a matter of just putting in that time there. That last duel. Uh-oh, I think I lost you. Crap. Are we still there, Mike? I think I lost you. We get back on with him real quick. What I said, the last duel. You there, Mike?
That. Still working on the from my audio, from my internet here, right?
Yeah. Your blue screen right now. You got to. Yeah, it's kind of lost you for a second. There we possibly go. Maybe.
Is it back on?
We can hear you. We don't have your video. So. Do I have you? Turn video off? No. Okay. We'll work through this real quick.
Yeah. So I mean, they don't need to see it. We have enough pictures of me in there.
Yeah.
But no, those are the guys that are always there. Those are the guys that are always competing.
Let's make your picture bigger there. Here, we might be coming back here. Yeah, there we go. You're back. Like I said, that you see all those schools there. The final duel kind of was a little anticlimactic compared to the semifinals. Brownsburg kind of got into their wheelhouse, especially late. Montgomery, Lawhead, Campbell, Kreitzer, all those guys just closed it out for them, and they end up forfeiting 45. That was jeez, no love.
Man, who is that?
Yeah. And they won a few close matches early on. Obviously, their 95, the Cody Edmonds, random guy that I don't know who he is, but 2-0 win. And then obviously Keys, another close match win. That kind of helped him out. Montgomery over Stewart had a good day. He used to have 2 profiles on the website. Just found that out today. So Stewart has been he only has 1 profile now. But yeah, and then so that was a little anticlimactic. Trying to run down through the in my head. I was like, man, Brownsburg. That's who they wanted to wrestle. I don't know if they would match up as well against Perry Meridian or Mater Dei, who would have been just a little bit better, 106 through 145, and that could have been. I mean, that would have been very interesting. Come down to those matches. So.
Yeah, I think. Obviously those are lineups that are solid top to bottom. There's not a lot of holes. Another good one for Dorian Keys. That's a good win over Dennis Hubbard. And I'm sure, when those guys are doing those are the big wins that you're looking for in those matches. The guys that are like you were saying, the in-between guys that are getting these huge wins. You expect your hammers to go out there and win. It's the guys in between. And I think some of the teams, obviously I get to see a lot of the region teams, they're still working that out. They're still working out the in-between of those guys. But, like we said on here, like if they're wrestling, and you need your in-between guys wrestling as much as those other guys are. You see all these guys up and down this lineup. Mine is Dorian Keys. I don't know if he wrestled a ton this summer, but Lawson Akins and Nathan Bishop from Warren Central. Those guys are out wrestling at Disney. Those guys are doing all that stuff. And when you see the guys in your room that are having success, like a program like Crown Point, you see what the Jesse Mendezes are putting in, or the Riley Bediches. You need your in-between guys to be putting that type of work in to get to that point, to be able to compete in this. And I'm sure they'll be in there next year. So those guys kind of see where they're at. I mean, you guys go to Disney also, right?
Yeah, we do. We see those teams, and it's no secret, and especially a lot of those teams that I was mentioned, they'll take 2 full teams and wrestle. We took a second team this year, and that's huge to get those JV kids, because based on weights or whatever, those kids might be jumping in the lineup next year or the year after, and getting them those high level matches, important matches, makes a difference. And Disney's a very interesting event because you can take as many kids as you want, and they get a bunch of exhibition. You can do exhibition matches, or kids running around. Hey, do you have a 132 for an exhibition? And yes, no, whatever. So the kids can get those, but even talking to some kids, like they'd rather be on the dual team because the exhibitions, they feel kind of like a JV match. You get put to your back, they kind of lay down there. But in a duel, you're going to be sitting there not. Knowing if I'm on my back, I'm going to give up 6 points for my team, and my team needs me. So you're going to have a little bit extra motivation to, get bonus points or not get pinned, things like that, which is what those teams need. That's what, you're looking up and down those lineups, not giving up those majors, not giving up those tech falls, or, not getting pinned is huge when you're outmanned, and you're going to wrestle some really good kids at Disney. So you got to learn how to.
Plus, it's Disney, the most magical place on earth.
Yes. Even though you barely even see the the Magic Kingdom and such.
You didn't get to go on Space Mountain when you were there. Come on, Joe.
Nope, I've only been on there once, and that's a topic for me discussing with my wife. Even though I've been there a few times, she's heard that complaint a few times.
That you don't get to go on Space Mountain, or that you're scared of roller coasters?
No, I'm not scared. I've gone. We've gone there a few times since I've been married. As long as my daughter's actually been there more times than I have, and my wife has her places she likes to go, and because she's been there about 20 times, and so the last time I went was the first time I went on Space Mountain. She's like, "No, you've been on there." I go, "No, I've never been on this."
Man. I love Disneyland. My mom loves Disneyland. I'm trying to go have like a timeshare.
Yeah.
Where's Alexis's favorite places to go?
She said that's one of her favorites, and then she's like, "Oh, Big Thunder Mountain's one of my favorites." I go, "I've never been on that." She's like, "Yeah, you have." I go, "No." So I don't know.
my favorite Big Thunder. So we went with one of my former teammates, my daughter's godparents, and we were in line for Big Thunder Mountain, and we're starving, we're dying, and she couldn't go on the ride because she was pregnant, and she cuts through the line. Like, unprompted, we didn't text her, nothing, with a turkey leg. Game changer. If you go to Disney, you got to get the turkey leg.
Yes. Nah, we'll be going back.
You got to get the Dole Whip, and you got to get the turkey leg.
Oh, yes. They actually have one of the local places up here has the Dole Whip during the summer. So it kind of, it's not quite as magical, but it's still pretty good.
Larry Collier, this is a PG show. We're not going to do any swearing or dogging. We're doing our results, where to go for Disneyland, so we know the community's watching.
Yes. Yes, we've been, the board has been very interesting. I think people are getting a little stir crazy, excited for some good matches, and had some very heated arguments and discussions. Public service announcement, if you are on the mic, if you are near a mic when the video streaming is going on, watch what you say about people, all that fun stuff, because it gets picked up. I know I've heard it on tournaments I've been watching, whether it's something in Indiana or on Flow or whatever. So I'm it's one of those things that I just be aware of that stuff, because whether it's nice or it's not meant to be there, whether you're discussing Heisman Trophy winners or Mr. Football, whatever it was.
Yeah, Mr. Football. I think, and obviously we do this a lot, so we're on camera, and I think that we're pretty cautious of what we're doing.
Oh, he wasn't yelling at us.
No, the high school kids need to be careful of behavior They're watched in public. Oh yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure. I think. I mean, you got a bunch of kids there watching, and anytime you go to an event, you see a bunch of kids and how they react. But I think Indiana has a ton of the top guys are all super respectful. I mean, we get to deal with a lot of those guys, and they're all awesome kids. I don't think I ran into a kid where I ever left walking away thinking like, man, that kid was a real jerk.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
very few times where, you know, yeah, where I've ever had those kind of interactions. Or, you know, most of those guys come up to you, is me and you, and they always say hi, and you know, oh, cool, you know, they're always asking me for gear, so maybe that's why they're nice to me. But yeah,
could be.
yeah. I mean, and the best thing I can say is the dream team. You know, those were probably 15, 13 of the best kids in the state, and they're all super respectful, super thankful, and things like that. So it's always neat to see, and like the kids we've had on some of the Gorilla teams and stuff. They always come up and say hi and talk to them. How's life going? I still keep in touch with a few of them that are have since graduated and stuff, and keep them motivated and like obviously we're their fans even past the wrestling mat, and it was neat to see those kids growing and talk. I see half of them come to IPO. It's pretty neat seeing like Jake Gross and Hughes. Kenny Hughes at the IPO a couple years ago. There were two kids on the original team, and talking to them, and they're still super grateful for things like that. So we've been Indiana with our best kids. I think we're very spoiled with a lot of really good kids and really good role models that the younger kids can look up to, and really not only do they love wrestling, they're good at it. They're really good kids off the mat too.
Right.
So, this coming week, what do we have? We'll talk about this a little bit more next week. Next week, Brownsburg wrestles Columbus East and Perry. Whatever, Wyatt. You're just jealous you didn't get any of those ribs. The New Haven hospitality room was really good. They had ribs and casa pasta lasagna was really good, and Wyatt was mad that he couldn't get any. Probably because he didn't make weight there last year. Had to cut low there, Wyatt. But next week, not this coming week, but the week after, Brownsburg wrestles Columbus East and Perry, which is kind of brutal. After they have round 7 of their conference, the Hoosier Crossroads Conference with Avon. They see Avon everywhere they go.
I think Garrett's going to be in there next year, so Krause doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think Garrett kind of they proved their point this year that they probably should have been in there. This coming week we have Girls State, which was a very successful. I think there's 160 some girls that wrestled at regional. Girls State's this weekend. Penn's the 2-time defending champions. That's going to be a good one too. Cathedral versus Perry on Wednesday. That
will be good.
Yeah, that'll be.
We did the live broadcast there last year, and it was Perry's senior night.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making that run down there this year. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to. Where's Nick at? We'll get him to stream it. He can talk to himself.
Yeah, see if we get Nick to do it. that Wednesday night run last year was crazy.
Yeah.
But this is Slivka. We appreciate that.
Yes. I kind of didn't look too ahead of the schedule there. We definitely need to get the schedules on the website next year. That's so that we can do this easier. You have a lot of conferences. Obviously, DAC conference.
Yeah.
Crown Point, Maryville, Portage, Chesterton.
I heard DAC has a top 5 guy on the mic this year.
Yes.
I never say number 1 or 2.
Should be some good matches there. The MIC, which is, I believe, Warren. I got to bring that up because I don't know all my conferences.
A lot of Indianapolis.
Yes. Let's see. I believe that's the Warren Central's conference. And luckily I have this internet stuff that has helped me through life a little bit.
NIC.
The MIC, Carmel, Center Grove, Lawrence Central, Lawrence North, North Central, Pike, Warren Central, Ben Davis. Really good conference. All those teams have good teams. Prairie Heights versus Fremont. Oh, that should be a great one. Prairie Heights is going to be hungry. The other big ones, the NIC, which is Mishawaka Penn, the Elkhart schools, South Bend schools. That's just a crazy huge conference. I'm trying to pull that up because I know there's and that one's going to be kind of blown up, and not really blown up. Going to be changing. Yeah, man, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 schools. That's a huge bracket.
I used to be the Lake Athletic Conference.
Yeah. Jimtown's there, Mishawaka, New Prairie, Penn, all the South Bend schools. Yeah, that's good. Oh, only Elkhart. Okay, Elkhart Central's the only one in there, not both Elkhart Centrals. So, yeah, that's going to be... Yes, yeah. Avon and Brownsburg love to wrestle each other.
Yeah. I think that he said 3 or 4. I think it's 5 or 6.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, they didn't have the county this year, I don't think. Did they just dissolve the county?
They said they canceled the county, so they said they'd just go to Brecksville together.
Yes, yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, that should be a good one. Any other ones?
I mean, obviously, all the conferences do a good job. I think NCC's this weekend in the region. I'm sure, is it this weekend, the Southern Indiana Athletic Conference, SIAC, with Mater Dei and Castle, right?
That might be. I do not see it on their schedule. I do not know if that's this week or not. That's always a good conference. So it's about half. I actually did the research a couple years ago, and it was about half and half about conferences this weekend and then the next. But it seems like most of the Northwest Indiana kind of Indy area does it this weekend, and then everyone else kind of does it next weekend, which is kind of weird. But
yeah, I mean, DAC is always really good. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of good matchups. Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to the individual tournament because I know the duels are all. I mean, Maryville, Portage, Crown Point, Lake Central, Valpo. It's like the biggest schools in Northwest Indiana, essentially. Michigan City, Chesterton.
Yeah.
So it's like all the biggest schools are in a conference, and then there's another tier of conference where it's like some more big schools, which is the NCC, which is like Lowell, Griffith, Highland, Kankakee Valley, Hobart. And then there's like another, I think there's like a Hammond conference, and then there's like a conference with like Calumet, Lake Station, River Forest, and I think that's all this weekend.
Yeah, the Southern Indiana Conference is next weekend.
Ooh, exciting. That's for next week.
Yeah, so should be lots of good matches, lots to talk about. Rankings are kind of starting to get solidified a little bit, or even more crazy.
Yeah, I got to work on some of them. It's difficult, I would say that. We have a new number 1 at 152. Rogers took a loss this weekend. I'm not going to change the number 1 at 60. I mean, obviously going up, those are matches that we hope happen. Did any other number 1s lose?
I do not believe so. Cotty didn't. Moran didn't.
Silas did not. Bolte did not.
Mattel, Mendez, Garcia. Garcia beat both. Who did he wrestled this weekend?
Bailey, Beduya.
Yeah, Beduya, Logan Bailey. And
good weekend for him, right?
Yeah. Hattery.
That was probably the close 3-1. I mean, obviously those guys have a good history, Beduya and Garcia.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see. You want to see those matches.
Yeah, no, that's.
What is it now? Is it 2-1 Garcia now, or is it 3-1 Garcia?
It might be 3-1. I'm sure we'll get. I'm sure we will get an update in about 4 seconds when he sees this.
Yeah, well, he was watching.
Yes, he was. Yeah, Rogers took a loss. Washington obviously did. Brewer did not. Man, Brewer doesn't have any significant wins. You got to put those Ohio wins in there.
I know. We can't make profiles for all those guys.
Yes. Yeah, he was the only one to take a loss. Man, how's the number 1 guy not have any? Everyone else has about 10 different results. Come on, Brewer, wrestle somebody.
Well, he missed some time. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys are raising his hand, which is a sign of respect. But I'm sure he wants to wrestle those matches.
Yeah, I thought we'll find some.
He's
That's my goal tonight. Find him at least one significant result.
They wrestled Carmel. Did Carmel raise his hand, or did he wrestle Bacon?
We'll see. Just a second. I'm right on his profile. He had 2 forfeits from Cathedral and Roncalli. Yeah, they didn't wrestle. Cathedral and Roncalli. He wrestled Penn Kid. Yeah, he didn't even wrestle.
They didn't wrestle Carmel. I forgot.
Yeah.
I had a bet. I lost my. We didn't get our bet going.
Yeah.
2-1. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has some. I mean, looking through his wins, he's just dominated everybody, and obviously that's gonna maybe possibly hurt him when he comes to state time, because he really hasn't gone 6 minutes. I don't even know if he has. Well, he went 6 minutes twice at Brecksville, but that's out of 20 matches here. So that's
he's really good.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Seeing him going on. Obviously going to the tournament, they have a good sectional and regional, so he's going to be pushed every time there. I'll find him a result. I don't know. I have to look pretty deep here. Any other? We've already done all the rankings, the state rank, the pound for pound and stuff. I think did we have? Obviously, I have to look
Anyone
at
in the
this.
pound for pound loop? I know some people are giving us a little bit of the business about Picorni being in there, but obviously we're sticking by our decision.
Yeah. Yep, we do have South over Washington, which was good. Still, we don't have to change that one.
No.
Yeah.
That's a good match, though. Those are the matches I want to see, like as a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's yeah. Picorni, there's positives and negatives. We kind of want to keep it more kind of how they do it nationally for the grade rankings and such. The grade rankings, Picorni's still on there. He's still top 15 guy, but they take him out of the weight class ranking. So that's he's still here. So it's hard to not include him. So I mean, it is what it is, and we can make reasons for both of them. So yeah, the Curtis and Watts match didn't occur. Curtis is a little banged up from what it sounds like. So obviously that's one we want to see, but obviously we'll see it at semi-state hopefully. And those two aren't ones to duck competition by any means. So if they're banged up, who won team state?
Track wrestling.
If you rewind, we talk about Team State. You can find results on IndianaMat or Track Wrestling. Just rewind.
Yeah,
watch it after we're done. So
I know I was disappointed, and I know we talked about it on the board a little bit, and obviously you want to see that match. You would love to see the 2 state champs go at it. That's going to happen eventually, but you also want those guys to be healthy.
Yeah, and you don't want to. There you go. Oops, you need to do something else there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely want both guys to be healthy, and obviously they're both going to be state contenders, and a mid-season match isn't going to prove much other than making Mike's rankings even more crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I just love to watch those, that match happen. Obviously, throwing Mendez and all of that. 126 is just a nasty weight. You got a lot of guys with a lot of medals in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And a really tough guy with that one right now. So.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else for this week? I think we should be able to go next Monday. After that, the week of sectional is going to be crazy because of doing the final rankings and obviously sectional seating meetings, which will be Monday nights. So what next week we'll probably go on Monday again, barring any craziness that goes on. Any last words of advice? Anything things that you're looking forward to this week?
Yeah, obviously the DAC is always great. I like that they're giving me the opportunity to announce. It's pretty exciting for me. Just I got started off doing the Harvest Classic, doing that and doing this, and I really enjoy doing that. So there's always great matches there. There's always going to be some upsets. You'll have Mendez and Peel. Hopefully, I think they'll be the same weights. You'll have a rematch of Hall and Roberson, which was a good match the other night. And the team race will be close, so that's always exciting. Also,
yeah, that should be a good one because a lot of those guys have top end talent, and it's going to come down to a lot of those younger guys getting fifths, thirds, whatever it is. That's going to be who's deeper as a team, and I like the tournaments because they say it in NCAA wise that your top end guys can score a lot more points than they can in a duel because they're going to get bonus those top end guys are going to get bonuses, and that's how Penn State does it. That their top end guys can score a lot more points, and it's kind of like a basketball game when you have a stud basketball player. He's not just limited to 6 points like they are in a wrestling duel. He can score 50 and win the game. You guys win 55-20 or 50, and just because that guy had 50 points. So that's kind of what in a tournament you get that.
Who's Penn State's not top end guy? 125.
Yes.
Don't they have something stupid like where all their guys have a bunch of wins and their 125 is like 500?
Yeah.
And they have like two really good backup 125s.
Yeah. Yes. They just want to make it a little bit easier. I think what they do is they don't want to have to be out there for the first matches, so they throw out they don't want to have a good 25. But yeah.
And he's still good. It's just he's not good in that lineup because you have RBY and Nick Lee, and you got Burge, and you have all those guys. You have Nolf.
Yeah.
So you're running out national champs like Nolf and up.
Yeah.
Guys that have been national championship match.
Yes. Yeah. Now, speaking of Nick Lee versus Chad Red potentially next Sunday, a week from this Sunday. That's going to be a big one.
That'd be exciting.
Red kind of had a rough start and beat a Brent guy yesterday, majored Northwestern guy, Yaya Thomas. Hopefully he's back on track because I want to see him in.
Yaya Thomas, Chicago kid too, wrestled for Mount Carmel.
Yeah, so that was a big win for Red just to get kind of back on track. I know he's taken some losses that he didn't want to, but he usually comes on when it counts. So that'll be an interesting one. I'd like to go, but that's kind of a bad time to leave and go to Penn State for a weekend.
Yeah, hopefully that one's broadcast.
Yeah, we'll definitely tweet that out and get that on the when that's coming up, because that'll be a pretty big match. I know Purdue IU's opening their new arena this weekend, I believe. So if you're in the IU area, Bloomington area, for Friday.
What? Whose house is who's the one that built that? Is that the house that Angel built?
Yeah, actually it's Sunday. Sunday will be our first match there at Wilkinson Hall against Maryland. So that'll be pretty cool. So if you're in that area, go check that out. IU's been wrestling really well, and they have a new arena.
Did they knock off North Carolina?
Yeah, they beat North Carolina, who was ranked like 12th. So that's always good to see. Purdue has a ton of home matches. So if you're wrestling, if you're into watching some college wrestling, they wrestle. They have a lot of home duels. I know they wrestle. Let's see, what is today? They wrestle this weekend. They wrestle Maryland on Friday. Then IU next Friday.
Is that at West Lafayette?
Yes.
Maybe.
Maryland. The Maryland match on Friday is going to be on Big Ten Network, so that'll be a good one. Then they wrestle Michigan, then Penn State. Penn State is at West Lafayette. Then Minnesota, they go to Minnesota. And then Rutgers and Ohio State is at Rutgers and Ohio State in February. Rutgers and Ohio State both at Purdue, and Wabash at Manchester.
The real showdown.
Yes. Yes, the battle for, there's probably like a shoe or something involved there. There has to be some kind of rivalry
is
trophy.
the Michigan and Purdue one at Purdue, or is that at Michigan?
That's at Michigan. So,
So you could have a couple Indiana guys at the homecoming.
yeah.
Be chicken Paris. Maybe
Yeah.
sneak Davison in there.
Davison hasn't been in the lineup. I think I know he kind of came back late. So I think he just got back on the mat really a few weeks ago as far as like competing. So I don't know if I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Or Indiana wrestles Purdue at West Lafayette. Penn State comes to IU. Rutgers goes to IU. Stanford. Iowa's at Iowa. And then they wrestle at Minnesota also. So yeah. So should be some good matches. So if you're near Purdue or IU, go watch some good wrestling. Indiana, lots of Indiana guys, and either that.
Avon Warren Central next week too. What are these guys doing the week of sectionals? They're having these extra hard duels.
You got Carroll Belmont that week, right before conferences.
That's an IndianaMat showdown.
Yes. So yeah, lots of good matches coming up. It's interesting. We were talking about that's big, late season stuff. Get ready for sectionals. Get ready for regionals. You're going to be seeing some good matches. Avon Warren Central, that'll be a good match. Lots of really good matches there. We definitely need to get those schedules on there. that way we can look those up. So with that, I think we're going to let everyone go because we've gone almost an hour and a half of blabbling.
We got it rolling. We didn't even know we were going to talk about this much stuff, guys.
I know. I had like 4 things on there: team state and then conferences. And then
Girl State. Hey, good luck to all the women competing this weekend. I think that's an amazing event.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully the media doesn't have to pay this time. Hint, hint. But yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited to this 3rd year of that stuff that we it's always good for the sport. Getting more people involved. And obviously we have a pretty good a couple of girls on the national teams that are doing pretty well. So that's pretty neat to see them. They have something to look forward to. National teams and stuff. That's pretty. The one thing I always want to ask Sarah Hildebrandt. She said she filled up her passport book. It's like what wrestling has taken her all over the world, and those are things, win or lose. Those memories you can't buy that stuff. That's pretty cool to be able to. I wish I could travel as much as that. I wish I could fill out more than 2 spots on my passport.
I think, what do I have? I think I have 4. So.
Yeah, she does that every month.
Yeah, and she's awesome. If you get a chance, follow her on Twitter. Represents the state, represents the country very well. I think that's what you look for, and I think that that's a great family. The Hildebrandts are a great family.
Yes, they are. I hung out with them a lot at Pittsburgh. When Drew was on the Pittsburgh team, and just very thankful for everything. They're like, oh, thank you for all this, and like just doing this for Indiana. It's nothing. It's always neat to see, and obviously, you have great kids, and it's easy to be fans of those people, and one of the Sarah's, she's really cool. She's really down to earth, and a lot of the interviews they had with her when she made the team this year, like what changed, and she's like, she basically says, I cleaned up, started eating better, started being more focused, and cut some things out that were keep holding me back, and ends up making a world team and world finals. So yeah,
I like to think it was the emotional support from Fabio Jr.
Yes. Yes. So
with
with
her
that,
interviews at the Worlds after losing, she was silver medalist. I thought we're all like extra classy. She does a great job. So like I said, if you had a chance, follow her on Twitter. She does an amazing job representing the state, representing the country, representing Penn High School. Yep,
definitely. And she's always back. She always comes back and works out there, and she still has Harper in her corner, which I don't know why. I gotta give my Harper shots in while I can. Harper's a great guy, so don't take that the wrong way. I always give Harper a hard time about everything, so he knows it. So with that,
Who don't you give a hard time to?
Yeah. Ooh, Penn State at Northwestern, according to Keith Davison. He might know that. So
Our president of the ISWA, Keith Davison, I seen him doing some live video.
yes. So are they? The real question is, Keith, are they going to pull? Are they going to pull Luke's red shirt? And I know some people were hinting that they should. Can
we get some breaking news here?
Yeah, let's see if he responds real quick. If he, man, maybe he knows something we don't know. Hopefully, he probably knows if they're pulling his shirt. But he's had a really good year redshirting. So I don't know if they'll rustle him, but that'd be very interesting. That'd add a little kink to the rest of the year. Okay, he said no. Maybe he might be playing with us.
Still watch the duel.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, there are going to be some good matches there. Northwestern always had, Andrew Howe's one of their assistant coaches. Yeah, some guys might know who he is. So that's always neat to see, and they always have some good Indiana guys on their team. So
yeah, Jack Tolan, Lucas Davison, 2 Chesterton guys.
Yes, Chesterton Pipeline. So with that, we're going to let you guys go, and we will be back next Monday, and see you guys later.